if mind is just a function of our brain? Well, I don't know the precise answer to this question, obviously, but what I can tell you is the tendency why people tend to think that mind can be reduced to brain, and why I personally not so sure that it can be done. There is a direction, um, the line of thoughts in science, which called reductionism, that all complex phenomena can be reduced to the sum of simple phenomena. And it works at very simple levels. You can take a molecule and try to describe the properties of molecules in terms of the properties of atoms in which the molecule consists. And then you can think that you can take molecules and form a living organism out of the molecules and describe the property of the living organism in terms of the properties of the molecules. And then you can take living cells and combine living cells and continue making your system more and more and more complex. The problem for me with this approach is that it does not work even at the simplest level. In principle, we can hope that we can write down the equations which would describe the property of a single molecule in terms of the properties of atoms. But in reality, it turns out that we can't. We cannot write the equation. Even if we can write down the equations, we cannot solve them. And in reality, it turns out that every time when we go to a more complex system, we have to invent new and introduce new paradigms, new ways of thinking about this system. And the reductionism approach never really worked, even in physics. I don't know, maybe a lot of physicists wouldn't agree with me, but if we look honestly at what we are all doing, it does not work. We have to introduce new ideas and new concepts every time when the complexity of the system increases. And this is why it's very difficult for me to buy the idea that such a complex system as working as mind can be simply reduced to the functioning of the brain. It just all the previous experience shows that every time when the complexity increases, something new happens, some new properties arise.